Hey everybody, Questwise here, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about conventions and going to conventions. And the time of filming of this, I will be attending GaryCon in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin in just a couple of days. I'll be leaving in 2 days to head down, and the convention starts on March 7th, which is Thursday. First thing Thursday morning, I plan to go down a little bit. It's about a 6.5 hour drive for me. So I want to go down the day before and get settled into the hotel, meet up with some friends, and be prepared for the convention. What I want to talk about today is a little bit of my prep, some of the stuff that I tried to pack and take with me, and maybe things that would help you along the way if you are heading to GaryCon or to any convention, whether it be across the country or just in your local neighborhood. But I just wanted to pass along some of the tips of things that I like to bring to be safe. I've been to several conventions in my lifetime, and when I first started going, I found that I was inadequately prepared, and it can be very costly for you sometimes. And I'll explain why as I go through some of these things. But one of the first things you want to make sure you have with you, and we'll go into several different things, but first of all, make sure you have all your clothes packed. Make sure your clothes are clean. Make sure you have extras in case an accident happens and something gets spilled. That's pretty just common knowledge, but it's sometimes hard to remember things like, that you might need an extra set of clothes in case some kind of accident happens or something. You also want to make sure that you have any sort of like electronic devices, like your phone and stuff, that you have the charging cords for those, or any battery backups for those kind of things. Sometimes you will be in a place that will drain a battery very quickly, or be in a place that you're in for a long time, and thus you need some extra battery charge. To make sure you have one of those, highly recommend going and getting one of these small battery backup power things that you can just plug into your phone, and it gives you a little boost of energy. Make sure that you for whatever games you plan on playing, that you bring along the core rule books for those as well too. So I'm going to GaryCon, which is not necessarily an old school OSR sort of convention, but it does pay homage to the history of the hobby, and thus there'll be a lot of stuff, things like Dungeon Crawl Classics. I know that Goodman Games will be there. Things like Labyrinth Lord, original kind of stuff, and there'll be a lot of people there who are there for this kind of stuff. This is the place you want to go if you want to see this kind of stuff in action, the classic old style of games and stuff going on. So make sure you bring that. If you plan on playing in any games, you want to make sure you're prepared with your materials. If it's something you need to bring a character for that you have to create yourself, make sure you do that ahead of time. Even if that's you don't plan on playing games, I've never been the kind of person that likes to sort of pre-sign up for a game before going to the con, unless there's something I absolutely have to be a part of. I sometimes just go and try to find games that are sort of open, that people are just looking for other players, and I'll jump in because I always want to try something new and innovative and stuff as well too. But I always bring a couple of things along with me in case anybody wants me to run a game. So I'm prepared. I could always run some Dungeon Crawl Classics. Labyrinth Lord is one of my favorites when it comes to sort of the OSR feel of emulating, BX, D&D and stuff as well too. So I'll bring those along with me. Some rule books. Bring dice. Dice are very important to have, but also more important to have is bring several sets of dice with you, because you never know. You never know what you're going to need, really, in reality. So, you might come across the game that requires maybe a lot of D6s. So I would recommend bringing an extra amount of D6s with you. You might, run across a game that uses only D20s and uses multiples of those. Things like the 2D20 system requires you to have multiple D20s to roll and stuff as well. So it's always nice to have multiple sets of dice with you, and a lot of extra D6s. Maybe not a lot, but at least a full another set of D6s just to be safe. One of the other things you can see down here in front of me, I always have this mat down on my table. But one of the things I would highly recommend is if you're going to a convention and you're going to use metal dice, like this set here, I would highly recommend you bring a mat of some kind with you, a play mat as well, because these things, while they're super awesome and some people really, really love these things, they can be very damaging to a table, especially if it's wood or if it's even plastic, like a Rubbermaid table. It can be very, very loud and distracting to other players. So if you absolutely have to show off your metal dice set, I recommend bringing a play mat with you. And a play mat is simply like kind of a mouse pad type material. It's rubberized on the back, has a soft coating so that they don't damage the table and they are not super excessively loud. So I recommend that as well too. Just being sort of aware of other participants and other people's stuff. You don't want to damage a table with your metal dice. You also don't want to distract everybody else at other games because you're banging your metal dice on a plastic table. One of the other things I highly recommend is to bring something to carry water in. I prefer the Yeti. This is probably one of the best products I've ever received as a gift from my wife. I don't know, it's about 20 ounces, maybe a little bit more than 20 ounces, 24 ounces or something. But this will keep water cold all day long. So I highly recommend this. This also has a screw-on cap, so I can actually like slide my bag strap through and carry it that way, or I can carry it with my fingers. It's nice to have. The other thing the reason I say bring water is because sometimes you don't always have access to something to drink at the convention, and sometimes at certain conventions, if you go to a vendor to get something to drink, it can be very, very expensive. When we went to Gen Con last time, I think it was $6 for a large soda fountain. Fountain soda, that's what I'm trying to say. So $6 can be pretty expensive, and that could be money you could be, well used on other things like, dice or games. So bring something, whatever your preferred method is. I prefer the Yeti, but it could be just a plastic water bottle and something as well too. But always bring something to carry water in, because you never know when you're going to get a chance to find a drinking fountain and or something that's within your price limit, kind of thing as well too. The other thing I always like to try to recommend to bring people is some snacks. Throw these in your backpack. These little milk and cereal bars or granola bars are perfect for that. It's okay if they get smashed a little bit, but you can throw one of these or several of these in your backpack or your bag, whatever it is you're carrying, your pocket. You always have something to munch on. Again, food can be very expensive sometimes at conventions, and sometimes can be kind of hard to find. You might also not be ready to sit down and actually eat a meal. You just want something quick. You're in the middle of a game. Especially if you have health problems, like, if you're diabetic or something, or, prone to fainting without eating. You just don't want to go long sessions. Sometimes games can run a long time. Want a little something you can just throw in your stomach. I also recommend bringing ibuprofen with you, little kind of things. Just because there are times, you're going to be around lots of people and there's going to be lots of loud noises and such, cramped spaces. Again, there'd be times when you go long periods of time without food or something, you're going to get a headache. And it's always better to just have a few of these ibuprofen or aspirin or something with you to save you a little bit of grief in the long run rather than have to deal with a headache the entire time. And if you're doing it right, you're going to have water with you anyway, so you'll have something to take it with. The other thing I also highly recommend is bringing some energy with you. You're going to be there for a long time, and so you might be doing some marathon gaming sessions and stuff. You don't want to get tired. I recommend that you don't use these. I recommend that you don't use things that are just super high in caffeine. While an energy drink in the morning or the afternoon, one might be fine, I tend to try to steer people away from this kind of stuff. This is just a bottle of caffeine, and it's not good for you, especially if you're pounding several of these a day. Straight up caffeine is usually pretty pretty gnarly on your system. It can also make you crash hardcore later. Yeah, straight up caffeine like this is not good. I say do away with it. What I recommend is something like this. This is some things that my wife provides that she uses a lot of as well too. Greens on the go. You just throw this into a bottle of water. This is all natural energy blend that will help you. Just it's like caffeine, but all natural, and you don't have to worry about the bad effects that caffeine has on you as well. So these are really good. This is Greens on the Go. Again, it's like a bunch of different vitamins and minerals and stuff from vegetables. This one in particular is berry flavored. I think these things are great. They're really, really good. Like I said, you throw it in a bottle of water, shake it up, and you chug this thing, and you're ready to go, and you're back on your feet in no time. So this kind of supplemental stuff is something I highly recommend over top of anything that's just laden with caffeine. What else? Bring your patience. That's the big one. There's going to be lots of people. There's going to be lots of crowded spaces. One of the things I highly recommend is that you simply just come and plan on being patient. You plan on the fact that you're going to have to wait in line for things. You're going to have to wait to get to a bathroom. You're going to have to wait to find time to play at a game. So bring your patience with you. Bring your A game. Be considerate of other players and other people and other guests, and plan on having a good time. Don't lose your patience, and don't get frustrated at the fact that there's going to be lots of people there, because there will be lots of people there. So that's my little bit of things to think of when you're headed to a convention. Bring some dice, your books, some snacks, some energy stuff. Make sure you always bring water. I think the most important thing is to make sure you have water and stuff as well too. So until next time, I'm Questwise. Be safe out there and game on.